We're gonna get out of here.
Please don't.
I appreciate
Please
your
don't.
that.
Please.
I really do.
Let one of you stay.
We can't.
I said, you're fine until I kill you.
He's threatened to do that.
I like folks that have guns.
Okay.
Because I have guns
Appreciate
too.
that.
Yeah.
You're loaded. You're ready to go. You're not listening. You didn't help me at all.
Do you understand the rights
It's all
I'm
your
reading you?
fault. You guys caused this.
The neighbor man was screaming for help, told us to call the police. He says he's killed her.
Hey, what's up guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. 82-year-old Junan, a resident of Rancho, New Mexico, begged and pleaded with law enforcement to help her, and they did nothing, costing Junan her life. Let's get into it.
Junan, just hours before her death, she told police her caretaker had guns, and she was worried he was going to kill her, but a petition was never filed.
She's a hospice patient, and she's getting uncontrollable, trying to cry on the bed, and I can't control her anymore. She needs for her own safety to get the hell out of here.
She needs for her own safety to get the hell out of here. This man calls 911 and tells them that Junan is not safe unless she gets out of there. His intentions couldn't have been more clear.
This is Henry Cardona calling 911 in April, talking about Junan Fannell, an 82-year-old woman he had been taking care of for several years.
Does she have any medical conditions, anything we need to know about?
She's got a whole bunch of medical conditions. Get her the hell out of here.
Junan then gets on the phone.
Do you feel like you're in danger, ma'am?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're in danger, ma'am? Yeah. Remember Junan's answer. It will be very important later on in the video.
Do you know if there's any weapons there in the home?
Yeah.
So Rancho police officers and firefighters went to the home, and they find Junan in a hospital bed. They ask about guns.
You're a firearms guy.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
You're loaded. You're ready to go.
We don't need to see him. I see there's one probably right there in that case, and I
Well,
see
that
one
should
over
be.
there. I like folks that have guns.
Okay.
Because I have guns too.
Appreciate that.
I like folks who have guns because I have guns too. What a completely ignorant statement this officer made. It's clear that right from the start, he has a bias. I support all of our rights, including our Second Amendment right. But to blindly decide whether you like someone or not, solely based on the fact that they're a firearm owner, is completely and utterly ridiculous, especially for a law enforcement officer.
Yeah.
While laying on what would end up being her deathbed, Junan begs for the police to stay.
We're gonna get out of here.
Please don't.
I appreciate
Please
your
don't.
that. I
Please.
really do.
Let one of you stay.
We can't, man. Yeah, we
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
Then this was said.
What did you say?
I said, you're fine until I kill you.
He's threatened to do that.
You're fine until I kill you. This man just openly threatened Junan's life in front of two law enforcement officers right after she just begged them and pleaded with them to help her and to stay. But what did the officers do? Absolutely nothing. They failed Junan. And this is exactly why I take issue with sheeple labeling all law enforcement officers as heroes. A hero is a title that is earned, not given, especially not just because you chose a specific job as a law enforcement officer. It's clear that these law enforcement officers are the farthest things from heroes.
They then leave.
Get out of here. Go away.
4 hours later, police get this 911 call from a neighbor.
The neighbor man was screaming for help, told us to call the police. He says he's killed her.
Just 4 hours later, 4 hours later after law enforcement initially arrived at the residence, this individual unalived Junan. Could have been prevented.
When police get there, they find Henry Cardona covered in blood. According to court records, he had just shot and killed Junan. He blamed the police for not doing anything earlier.
You're not listening. You didn't help me at all.
Do you
earlier.
understand the rights
It's all
I'm
your
reading you?
fault. You guys caused this.
No, you caused it by murdering June Ann. Yes, he did try and call law enforcement and tell them his intentions. He openly threatened her in front of law enforcement. So there is a massive failure of law enforcement in this incident. They failed June Ann, and that's why she is not alive today.
Should the police have done anything when that first call was made?
In this particular case, it sounds like there was plenty of information that the law enforcement had that would have triggered the implementation of a red flag law.
The Extreme Risk Firearm Protection Order, also known as the Red Flag Gun Law, was one of the most controversial pieces of legislation to be debated in the state capitol. It was eventually passed and enacted in July 2020. The law says law enforcement and prosecutors can petition the court to have someone's firearm seized for a year if there is, quote, credible threat that they're going to do harm to themselves or others. KOAT legal expert John Day explains how it works.
There's a process for law enforcement to go to a court and get a temporary order saying, go get those guns, put them away somewhere safe, we'll deal with this, and let some time pass, let people cool off.
Target 7 combed through court records. We found in the 3 years the law has been enacted, there were only 55 cases in which prosecutors or law enforcement filed a petition. These 21 counties have never used it. One of them is Sandoval County, the third largest in the state, and the county where Junan Fannell was killed.
There's one of two reasons they didn't utilize it. Either they haven't been properly educated about the use of it, because this clearly fit within it, or they have decided, as some jurisdictions threaten they would do, not to use it. And if it's the latter, then that costs somebody their life.
So the red flag law in New Mexico, I want to be very clear here. I am not a fan of government telling someone whether they can have a firearm or not. I have seen many, many times across this country in courtrooms, state's attorneys, district attorneys, law enforcement have very poor judgment. So for them to decide whether someone should have a firearm or not, I am not a supporter of that. This specific incident, it's clear that this man was going to do harm to Junan and that he wanted to hurt her, and he ultimately killed her. But he broke the law. He made a death threat against Junan. The officers could have done something, whether this red flag law exists, and that's why I'm saying is that whether that law existed or not, they could have done something to prevent this. They could have intervened because he broke the law, and we'll get into that later.
Former state representative Damon Eli sponsored the red flag legislation.
If family members are killed, I think they have a lawsuit to be able to pursue the government entity for not using something that's going to save people's lives and save law enforcement officers' lives.
Cardona has been.
Unfortunately, Junan doesn't have a lawsuit, or her family members don't have a lawsuit, because the courts have already ruled that law enforcement officers, these heroes that all these sheeple keep telling me about, don't have any obligation to protect us. Let me say that again. Law enforcement, these heroes, have no legal obligation to protect we the people. This is why the Second Amendment is so important. The First Amendment is so important. Our rights matter.
Charged with second-degree murder. He is on house arrest awaiting trial.
The man who ended Junan's life is on house arrest awaiting trial on second-degree murder charges. You can't make this up. There are activists currently sitting without bond in jail, but this man is sitting at his house after murdering someone. Our criminal justice system is broken, fellow patriots. All right, so Chief Steele of the Rio Rancho Police Department issued a statement regarding this incident. Let's take a look. When officers left the scene, it did not appear Junan was in fear for her safety, and there was no probable cause to believe any criminal activity had occurred. Officers did not witness any signs of distress, and comments made relating to the use of a firearm appeared to be insincere and made in jest. Officers had no reasonable belief to suspect that either individual was sincerely contemplating an imminent act of violence. Because the behavior of the individuals observed on scene indicated they cared for one another and were working to solve their long-term health care and living situation needs. Based on the entirety of the circumstances during the first call, there was no probable cause to conduct a criminal investigation or substantiate a significant danger of imminent personal injury as a result of either person having access to a firearm. Consequently, the officers lacked authority to arrest, place into protective custody either party against their will, or file a petition pursuant to the Extreme Risk Firearm Protection Act. Well, Chief Steele, I don't know if you watched the same body camera footage that we all just watched, but it is clear that Junan's life was in danger right from the 911 call. The man on body camera said he was going to kill Junan. That is not enough to arrest someone? Let's take a look at New Mexico's law then. This is New Mexico's criminal statute for assault and battery. Let's take a look. So if you scroll down here, assault consists of either letter B, any unlawful act, threat, or menacing conduct which causes another person to reasonably believe that he is in danger of receiving an immediate battery. Any unlawful act, threat, or menacing conduct. He threatened Junan's life on body camera in front of 2 law enforcement officers. We all just watched it. Junan was obviously afraid for her safety. She told the 911 dispatcher. She begged the law enforcement officers to stay and help her. This tragedy could have been prevented if the Rio Rancho Police Department did their job. They failed Junan. They had the opportunity to be the heroes that law enforcement agencies across this country claim to be. Instead, they did nothing. I want to be very clear here. I do not in any way support the government being able to arbitrarily violate our Second Amendment right. We have seen countless examples of tyranny and corruption across our country. This is exactly why I will never trust the government to make the right decision about our freedom. The chief couldn't even take accountability in his statement. Zero. It was completely out of touch. His department failed Junan. They could have done something to prevent this tragedy. You're looking at it right in front of you. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a law enforcement officer, but a quick Google search of the assault and battery statute clearly shows that it applied in this situation. That her caretaker clearly on body camera threatened her life. The 911 audio clearly stated that her safety was in jeopardy unless she was removed from the residence. So how can the chief absolve himself of any sort of accountability or culpability is beyond me. It happens all the time. No accountability in law enforcement, no investigation. Normally they'll do an investigation and they'll investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. They didn't even do that this time. There was no investigation done whatsoever. And this is why cops are not heroes. Some cops could be heroes based on their actions, but law enforcement in general has no obligation to protect you or to serve you. We, the people, need to take back the power. We need to hold law enforcement accountable, and hopefully tragedies like this never happen again. Let me know what you think about this one in the comment section below. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Long Island Audit. Peace.